Well, welcome, good evening, and welcome to the first edition of Weather or Not. Over the next couple of weeks, myself and a wonderful team of meteorologists here at SABC will be bringing you the weird and wonderful weather that happens all around you. And I'm sure you've been wondering this year, where is the winter? Well, today, that's what we're going to be talking about. Where is the winter? Well, Southern Africa, we've got our winter. Well, right now, this is where we're supposed to be feeling very cold. We've get our winter mainly from mid-latitude cyclones, which are part of it is a cold front. That's what we all know. Cold fronts bring us cold weather. Now, so if you can focus the cold front, you can see, if you can see the mid-latitude cyclones, you can see the cold front. If you can see the cold front, you can see where the cold weather is. Now here, this is where we are, just below the 30-degree line. As you can see, this is a 30-degree south, and then this is Southern Africa. Now this is very important because here we've got the mid-latitude systems, and the polar cells, which is here, also affects the weather here in Southern Africa. Now how does it affect it? It affects it by shrinking or expanding. When it expands, it pushes everything to the north, and therefore cold air comes down from the southern parts coming to Southern Africa, and therefore we feel cold. And the opposite happens as well. When it shrinks, we get a warmer air from the northern parts coming down towards Southern Africa. Now let's look at what we call the southern annular mode. Now the southern annular mode helps us to see where the cold fronts are. If we can see the mode, or if the mode is negative or positive, so we can focus that whether it's positive or negative, which is also called, it's also some other people call it the Antarctic Oscillation Index. Now, remember earlier we spoke about where we are in Southern Africa. Now this is a 30-degree north. This is where we are. We're at 30 degrees. This is where we are. And as you can see, if we are here somewhere just below the 30-degree, under normal conditions, we get our winter. This is the polar cell. It's a normal size. It's not shrinking and it's not expanded. So therefore, we get our cold, normal winter weather. All the cold air is coming from the southern parts, as you can see, pushing it further north, closer to us. But something happens that causes the polar cell to shrink, which is our situation, our second situation here. You see that the polar cell has shrunk to a very small size, and therefore by shrinking, it pulls all the cold air down towards it, and therefore we don't get a cold air here in Southern Africa. This is a 30-degree line, which is the same as the one I showed you earlier. This one, now this one is here. Look at where the rainfall is, how far it is from the 30-degree line. If the 30-degree line is here, rainfall is further down there at 60 degrees, so that's why sometimes you get your winters not being as cold as others. That's the southern annular mode. But then we might ask what's been happening over the past couple of years, but we're going to start from the very beginning. Now this is between 1980 and 1994. As you can see, when the mode is negative, which is the blue part below the graph, you can see that it gets negative, and then sometimes it's positive. When it's positive, you get warm. That's when we've got the shrinking of the cell. And then when it's negative, we get the expansion of the cell, and therefore we get cold air. But then in recent years, closer to what's happening currently, this is what's happening 2015 here, 2015, 2016, and 2017. As you can see, it's been in the positive phase. When it's in the positive phase, the southern annular mode, that means that we're getting a decrease in the size of the polar cell. When it decreases, it pulls all the cold fronts very down south towards the polar regions, and thereby making us very warm. That's why last year, between 2015 and 2016, we had record-breaking high temperatures. We had heat waves that were lasting for a long time, and a number of them, actually, not one or two in a year, a couple of heat waves that we had over the past couple of years. And what's happening now? We are actually in the warm phase. This is where we are. This is 2017. Now let's get even closer to what 2017 is looking like. Now, this is the first part here on top. This is the observed, and this is a forecast of the southern annular mode, or the Antarctic Oscillation Index. As you can see, it's been correlating quite well. This is the 16th of May. As you can see, we've been seeing warming, and we did forecast some warming. And as you can see, it's generally in the positive phase. That's why the cold fronts have been very far away from us here in Southern Africa. And going over for the next couple of days, we're seeing that winter is staying in the positive phase, so meaning that in the above zero line. That means that it's going to stay positive for the next couple of days, meaning that it's just another way of showing you that winter has been staying far away from us, and the cold fronts are moving even further away. I know some of you are thinking, where's the winter? Where is it? Well, that's where it was. We got the cold fronts moving further down south, and thereby removing all the cold air from us. If you've been looking for winter, I know that some of us do love winter. And Hopefully it's going to come back soon and we can see cute things like this. I'll leave it here for weather or not for today. Next week we've got Pimelo talking about even more interesting and weird weather. Remember, everywhere you go, take the weather with you.